Outside of WWE, is that what I said? Hold on a second. Hello, how are you? Well, wait a second. Did I really say WWE? Hold on. Let's fix this. I meant the World Economic Forum. Did I do it right? Hello, how are you? WEF. I did it right. World Economic Forum. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm waiting just a second to let people pop in. World Economic Forum. That's what I meant. Hi, the fam. Good evening. Hi, just to let you know, Nancy Pelosi is creepy AF. What was she doing? I don't know if you saw the little short I made last night kind of poking fun at her, but I didn't realize at the time that she was standing up. So was Joe Biden talking about? I believe he was talking about was he talking about Afghanistan? And he was talking about really dark military stuff, and she got up at the most awkward time. Nancy was more out of it than usual. Yes, Olivia. Yeah, she got up. Smoke pits. Okay, so he was talking about smoke pits, burn pits, right? And right after he said burn pits, Nancy Pelosi gets up, and what was she doing? It was like she was a horse and she was rubbing her hooves together, her hooves, or however you say it. What is this? And then there were several times that she was doing that before she was like, it was so weird. These are the people running our country. She's third in line to be president if anything happens, by the way. Don't know if you knew that. So if something happens to Biden, it's Kamala Harris. And then if something happens to Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi is the commander-in-chief. It was like she was rubbing her hands together trying to further ignite the Democrat dumpster fire. Oh, it was a dumpster fire. Burn pits, no fun. I've lost 3 friends to cancer, all of whom are under 40. That's so sad. I'm really sad to hear that, Lance. I lost my father to cancer. She drank too much Russian vodka. All the Russian vodka that came out of the stores went to Nancy Pelosi's home. I think that's what happened. She set up, she's like, you guys, if you need a place to put all of your Russian vodka, I'm going to set up this site. Just put it there, and then she takes it home. She is third in line. I mean, imagine being someone from a different country and watching our State of the Union. It was a dumpster fire. And I'll get into all of the contradictions that were made, the lies that were said. Sorry to hear about your father. Oh, thank you for that, Robert. It was a long time ago. But it's always sad to lose someone. I think Nancy's Molly kicked in. She does. She looked like, she kind of did. She looked like somebody that was on Molly, just like, she soaks her dentures in Russian vodka. I mean, it kills the germs. Russian vodka, alcohol kills the germs, right? That was collecting the vodka. That's Nancy Pelosi's service to America. So we can't say that she didn't do anything. How convenient. Okay. Biden, Harris, and Pelosi, what a lineup. Oh, it was just so funny watching them. My favorite part, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get into it. Louisiana, hi. Cheers to Boebert for yelling 13. Yes. Oh, and I have what Whoopi Goldberg went off about that today. Oh, we'll get into... Okay, let's get started. Wait, what time is it? Can I get started? I did a quick poll. None of my vodka drinking friends drink Russian vodka. It's all from Sweden or the US. Well, you know what's funny? It's so performative, you guys. We get... I think it's like 200K. How many gallons of oil do we get from Russia a day? And everyone's like dumping out all their Russian vodka. It's how many gallons? Ha! Okay, I'm looking up how many gallons does the U.S. Yeah, I was right. 200K. 200,000 barrels of Russian oil in a day. So we import 200,000 barrels of Russian oil a day. Oh, we buy. I'm sorry. We buy. And that's this headline. This is actually, look, here, I'll read it for you. While we're here, around 500,000 barrels per day. Well, this one's saying 200,000, but still, both are a lot. This is Newsweek. This isn't even a conservative news site. As states rush to ban vodka, America buys 200,000 barrels of Russian oil a day. And they're banning the sale, they're banning the sale of Russian vodka. While a handful of U.S. states have already taken steps to ban the sales of Russian vodka from market shelves following Russia's invasion of Ukraine last week, some federal lawmakers are now similarly calling for the U.S. to halt imports of Russian oil, another of the Eastern European countries' valuable commodities. But are we going to stop doing that? No, of course not. It's like Freedom Fries back in 03. I don't think I've... Wait, is Svedka? That's Russian, right? Sounds Russian. I don't think I've ever had. Stoli. Where is Stoli from? I've had Stoli vodka. Either way, too much foreign oil. I totally agree. And when America is energy independent, it's a win-win. Because we do a lot with OPEC, and OPEC is tied to terrorist organizations like ISIS and all those guys. So when America is energy independent, we're also defunding terrorists, which would be a huge social justice. Leftists love social justice. They love to defund things. So it's a win-win. Why we wouldn't do it, I don't know. Stoli is Russian, Svedka is Swedish. Oh, I was backwards. I like Grey Goose and Red Gatorade. Red Gatorade with Grey Goose? All right, let's start. So, the State of the Union. Yes, it was a dumpster fire. You know, the way that Biden... First of all, I don't expect much from Biden, and I'm trying to be objective, but I just can't be objective. I don't expect much. I don't expect a lot of truth-telling. But I try to look at everything from brand new eyes, so I can convey things as objectively as I can, even through my disdain of the Brandon administration. So it was what you have to understand about Biden. I know that he's old. I know that he's losing it. But beyond that, absolute. What is absolute? Is that... Where is absolute from? Besides that, Biden is a career politician. He doesn't know what it's like to live as an average American. He doesn't know any of those things. What he knows is politics. So when he speaks, he's not speaking for you or I or the betterment of the country. He's speaking politics. And the speech was totally that's what, in my opinion, was displayed on this speech. So there were several times where he contradicted himself, and that is because he's trying to play both sides of the aisles. The midterms are coming up, and if you noticed, the science magically changed a day before the State of the Union. So the day before the State of the Union, they dropped the mask mandate for the White House. And did any of them look worried? No, they did not. Everyone was gleefully maskless, hugging, spreading droplets all over the place. So yes, the science magically changed for the White House. The science also magically changed for New York, California, Oregon, a lot of them dropping a lot of their restrictions. And that is because, it's not because, besides my pun, thank you so much, Stefan. Thanks for doing what you do. Always look forward to your outlook on these crazy times. Thank you very much for the $10, Stefan. I really have fun doing this. I hope you guys have fun joining me. It's a lot of fun. So, droplets. Ugh. That the word droplets, it's never going to be the same for me. There's yep, and as far as our Ask COVID. Okay, so put aside my joke. No, the science didn't magically change. The midterms are coming up, and the poll numbers are showing that these restrictions are less and less and less popular. So a lot of these things have changed, and my prediction was a little bit correct. Absolute is Swedish. My prediction was a little bit correct about how they would say, you know, it's a new day. A lot of these COVID things are behind us, and that was sort of the sentiment. And of course, they're going to try to take ownership for that, but no, that is not true. Also, Biden did not create jobs. Those were just people going back to work after they were laid off. So I don't think that any jobs were created under Biden. Actually, a lot were lost because they stopped construction of the border wall. They stopped the Keystone XL pipeline. So there was a lot of jobs right there. And they reported the number of people going back to work after they were laid off. So those weren't jobs created. But Biden speaks like a career politician, and I'll show you why. So he touched on a few different things. He touched on defunding the police. Sam, thank you so much for that donation. I really appreciate that. Putin might be Antichrist. No, you have to like the Antichrist. Don't you know anything about the Antichrist? The Antichrist is someone that's really charming that everyone likes. Okay, so let's get into some of the specifics of what Biden said, and I'll just go through. So he started talking about Ukraine a lot, and that is the one part. He had to talk about Ukraine. I think it was smart to talk about Ukraine. I think he came at Ukraine with a good position. I mean, that's the number one thing that a lot of people are talking about. So that was one part of the speech where I'll give credit where credit's due, even though he didn't write it, even though he probably doesn't know where he is. That was a good part of the speech, but the rest of it was really, really bad, really contradictory. So he talked about immigration, and this is something that we've talked about a lot, and he talked about the southern border. So I'm going to read to you what he said, and then I'll give you a response by some of the Border Patrol agents that are actually on the border. Here, where is his immigration? Okay, so he says, keep in mind that over 2 million people that we know of have crossed the border since he took office. Keep in mind that in day one, when Biden was in office, he rescinded 3 things that Donald Trump was doing. To have good border policy, all he had to do was go on vacation. He didn't have to do anything. It was all set up. Construction of the border wall was all set up. So he stopped construction of the border wall. He re-implemented catch and release. All of these things created an influx of people coming over the border illegally. We also know that they were flying people around the country and dumping them off in the middle of the night. So he is not only turning a blind eye, he is actually aiding and abetting all of this mass illegal immigration. And we've seen video after video, when you talk to people that are coming over the border illegally, they will ask, why are you coming over the border? Why are you doing it now? Because Biden is going to help us. They do it because of Biden, and that's not me making this up or saying this. This is coming out of the mouths of the people coming over the border illegally. So he created this problem. All right, so this is what he says about immigration. And again, the reason he is taking this stance right now and the reason he is saying this is because midterms, because his polling numbers are in the garbage. And also keep in mind, he has to be really careful because I do actually think that Biden is a moderate Democrat. I don't think that he's for defunding the police. I don't think that he's for some of these radical policies, but his problem is that he has very radical, very, very loud people in his party. And he's appeasing everyone. Again, this is a career politician. This is not someone that runs on principles and that has principles. This is someone who runs whatever the trend is going at the time. And that's exactly what Kamala Harris is too. So they go with where the political trend is. They don't run on their principles. So he says this about immigration. He says, we're putting in place dedicated immigration judges so families fleeing persecution and violence can have their cases heard faster. We're securing commitments and supporting partners in South and Central America to host more refugees and secure their own borders. We can do all of this while keeping lit the torch of liberty that has led generations of immigrants to this land. My forefathers and so many of yours provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those on temporary status, farm workers, and essential workers. Revise our laws so businesses have the workers they need and families don't wait decades to reunite. It's not only the right thing to do, it is the economically smart thing to do. That's why immigration reform is supported by everyone from labor unions to religious leaders to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Let's get it done once and for all. Advancing liberty and justice also requires protecting the rights of women. Okay. Now I have a response from you. So Bill Malhusian, who works for Fox News, and who is on the southern border right now, talked to 3 Border Patrol agents about what Biden said about immigration. So here's the tweet. Bill Malhusian says, I asked 3 Border Patrol agents for their reaction to Biden calling for a secure border during the State of the Union. So I don't think I specifically read that part, but he was calling for more secure borders. So one agent said, effing pandering 101, full of shit. The second border security agent said, I laughed. The third border security agent said, LMAOTBH. Didn't even watch it. Figured it would be all lies and smoke. We're losing so many agents. They're fed up. I actually am in contact with an agent. I need to get back to him. But he's been shoot, I can't read his message. He's been telling me it's just worse now than it's ever been. They are so overrun. They're losing people. They don't care about our border, but they care about the border in Ukraine. And they were actually going to send some of our Border Patrol agents, I don't know if they're still going to do this, to Ukraine to help their processing and to help with their border when ours is just totally overrun. And remember, Biden, in order for us to have a secure border, Biden literally had to do nothing. But he couldn't do nothing. He has a bunch of radicals within his party that wanted nothing to do with any Trump policies, and they wanted mass illegal immigration. Why? I don't know. But it is a little strange that they're importing all these people. Not only are they just opening the border, that's not all they're doing. They're flying them all over the country, secretly, in the middle of the night. And then they're trying to change voting laws so you don't need IDs to vote. I mean, I'm not like making a theory here. I don't like to assume, but those two things are happening. Okay. So what else did Biden talk about last night? Defund the police. This is great. That's why they want ID laws so illegals can vote. It has nothing to do with American minorities. Yes, and this is what they do. They say, it's about race. So you're telling me that if you require an ID to vote, that is somehow racist. But these were the same people that were also pushing for vaccine passports. And when you look at New York, I believe it was New York, I can't remember the exact numbers, but there was a large part of, when you break it down by race, a lot of people who are black did not have the vaccine and were not being allowed in restaurants and places that had the mandates in place. So you can't tell me that one thing, you can't, if you use that argument, it doesn't hold water. So defund the police. This is another one they say is about race. But this is what is so funny. There's a guy named, if you look, I've seen video, again, I've seen several videos on this, where a person, they'll do like a man on the street type of experience for the whole defund the police sentiment. They'll go into a very gentrified, like white neighborhood, and they'll say, should we defund the police? And all the sort of like uppity white people will say, yes. And they'll talk about all the problems with the police and how the police are racist and how the police are corrupt and all of this stuff. And they think that you should defund the police. And then you go in the heart of Harlem or somewhere else and he'll ask people, should we defund the police? And they'll be like, are you crazy? Have you lost your damn mind? No, we shouldn't defund the police. It would be anarchy out here. It would be crazy. The criminals would control everything. And we've seen the reality of that. New York, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, Seattle, Portland, all of the places that defunded their police, what happened? Crime went through the roof. And in Los Angeles alone, we defunded our police by $150 million. And crime skyrocketed. And in Los Angeles, when you look at the perpetrators of the crime, and then you look at the victims of the crime. In Los Angeles, 90% of homicide victims are Black and Hispanic men who are killed at the hands of other Black and Hispanic men. So when you talk about defunding the police and then crime skyrockets and homicide skyrocket, what group is going to hurt the most? So they can't use the race card. It's not true. It's not based in any fact. But here's Biden on defunding the police.
The answer is not to defund the police, it's to fund the police.
My audio is weak. Making sure. How am I now? Okay, let me know how the audio is. Is it okay now? How is the audio? Oh, I'll put it. What about now? Okay, now it's good. I'll turn it up a little too. Okay, I think my audio is good now. Let me know if it's not. Is there still static right now? Darn. Low on. What about now? I think it's better. Static still? Where is it coming from? Little static. Yep. I can still hear it. Where is the static coming from? Eva pulled the plug. She thinks... Hold on. My cord is a little... Sound is okay to me. Okay, let me just... My cord is a little... It's like when the switch gets thrown. Okay, hold on. I'll just untangle my cord just a little bit. It is a little... Yeah, it's a little... bit static. I'll have to check on that after this, too. My cord was a little... Okay, what about now? Put your feet on the desk. What? But it's not that loud, though. Okay, I'm going to have to figure that out after I get off here. Hopefully it's not too bad. I'm sorry. Wiggle the plug. I just did. Okay, screw you guys. I'm not putting my feet on the desk, one hand. Okay, I think that's probably about, hopefully it's not too bad. Okay. All right. Here's Biden on defunding the police. You guys suck. Only Lance.
Police is to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them. Fund them with resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect our communities.
Okay, so, oh, thank you so much, the fam. When are you going to play the ukulele? Maybe, it's actually right there, so maybe when I'm finished, I'll break it out for a little bit. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so you hear what he said. He said, defund these nuts. Okay. You hear what he said. He said, we don't need to defund the police. They need more resources, more training. Yeah. I remember really early on in the defund the police days, I had a friend that she had thousands of followers. She put this on her social media. We're not friends anymore, and it's probably my fault. But she said defund the police, and I messaged her, and I was like, that was the very first time that I had seen, hi Chris, how are you? That was the very first time that I had seen defund the police, and I was shocked because that was right after I got stuck in the riots, like in the middle of all of that in Los Angeles, and it was terrifying. And I was like, did you just say defund the police? And she said, yeah. And I was like, so you want to take money away from the police? And she was like, yeah. And I said straight to her face, well, we were messaging, but I said, that's the most idiotic thing I ever heard. And she was like, well, blah, blah, blah. And I questioned her. And one, she had no idea what she was talking about because when I started to question her on it, all of a sudden, she was like, well, I don't know. I'm not an expert. Then why are you saying that to your thousands of followers? And then I said, but if you think the cops are making mistakes, shouldn't they need more funding for better resources like hiring practices and training and stuff? Anyway, what was funny about Biden saying defund the police, yeah, I did. And I did challenge the nonsense, and I'll be straight up with you guys. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of, I mean, they weren't good friends. It wasn't like, good friends can get into arguments and challenge each other's beliefs. Like, not good friends can't stand to have their beliefs challenged and think that anyone that thinks differently than them is a bad person. But the funny thing about what Biden said is you heard the applause after he said we need more funding for police. Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi both stood up behind him and clapped. And I loved seeing Kamala Harris stand up and clap after he said that because she was one of the defund the police people. I wrote down what she said. That's the wrong page. Kamala Harris, when Los Angeles, in the wake of the George Floyd protests, riots, whatever you want to call them, in the wake of George Floyd, in the year 2020, Mayor Garcetti in Los Angeles announced that he was going to be defunding the Los Angeles Police Department by $150 million. And Kamala Harris was on television saying that she applauded Eric Garcetti for taking $150 million away from the police. She applauded that. She was one of the defund the police people. And she legit stood up behind Biden and clapped. But Kamala Harris is very similar to Biden in the fact that she really doesn't have any principles. She goes either way. Wherever the tide goes, that's where she's going. Whatever is politically convenient For her, that's where she's going to go. And the problem with a lot of these super liberal policies are they think they're popular with the American people. The reason Joe Biden had to say we're not going to defund the police is because he had to say it, because the radicals in his own party are saying that they want to defund the police. They actually did defund the police in a lot of cities, and then crime skyrocketed. These are policies that not only do we see them not working, but they're not popular with the average person. And the reason these radical, leftist, elitist politicians try to push these policies are because they're surrounded by each other. They're just in an echo chamber. And so they echo back what the other one is saying, and then they think that's what's popular with the majority of people. It's not. Defund the police is not popular with moderate Democrats. It's not popular with independents. It's not popular with Republicans. It's not popular for the average, everyday American. We know that there are bad cops. We know that cops make mistakes, and all of those things should be held to account. Everybody agrees on that, but nobody agrees that we should defund our police. And that's why he had to say that. And that's why Kamala Harris had to get up and clap behind him, even though she was one of the defund the police people. But not everyone was happy that he said that. Where is Cori Bush? Hold on, I'm getting you a response from Cori Bush. This is pretty funny. So this is what Cori Bush, I don't know if she's a member of is she a member of the squad? But she's one of the super radical defund the police people. She's the one that was on camera saying we need to defund the police, even though she hires private security for herself. You cannot say I want to defund the police and then hire private security for yourself. So she said this in response to, she's one of the super radical congresswomen. So she said this in response to Joe Biden. So Punchbowl News tweeted out, Biden, we should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. The answer is to fund the police. Fund them, fund them. And Cori Bush replied to that by saying, with all due respect, Mr. President, you didn't mention saving Black lives once in this speech. All our country has done is given more funding to police. The result? 2021 set a record for fatal police shootings. Defund the police, invest in our communities. She is not in touch with reality. This is why they are losing. These super radical ideas and these super radical politicians who are out of touch with reality, the ones that yell defund the police while they pay thousands and thousands of dollars on private security, are cancer for the Democratic Party. And that's why Joe Biden has to get up there and say that we need to fund police. Because midterms, and because of the cancer that lies within his own party, yes, fund them, invest in law and security. Someone put together, I wonder if it will play. Oh wait, here it is. It might not play, but somebody put together a compilation. Oh, here, it might right here. Somebody put together a compilation of all the times that Democrats were saying publicly to defund the police. It was 7 minutes long, but I guarantee you it could have been an hour long if they really dug. Kamala Harris actually promoted a bail fund to fund out violent rioters. This is why Biden has to say that stuff. Okay. Oh, and then here's another one of Biden's contradictions. Again, he's trying to appease everybody. So while he was talking about funding the police, he talked about the 2 officers who were killed in New York City. Remember the huge funerals we saw where the streets were just lined with law enforcement paying their respects? He talked about these 2 gentlemen, and then he went into later on in that sentence, we need to hold police accountable. He's trying to play 2 sides of the aisle. Of course, we understand the sentiment. Everyone that does something wrong should be held accountable. But in the way that he said it, he's trying to appease both sides because midterms. And then he talked about inflation. Oh boy. So he said because of inflation, everyone is hurting, and he understands how everyone is hurting. And here again is another contradiction. He talked about inflation, and he said he feels the effects just like everyone else. And then he went on to talk about his $2 trillion spending bill that he's still trying to promote. And keep in mind, the reason that Senator Joe Manchin didn't want to jump on board with this spending bill is he said, we have record inflation right now. Americans are hurting bad right now. We cannot afford to recklessly spend that kind of money. This is not the time to do that. And then he had a slogan. You know how he has his Build Back Better slogan? He had a slogan, make it in America. He wants things to be made in America, bring jobs to America. And then, right after that, he talks about we need to tax the rich. He didn't say those words specifically, but he wants more taxes. The top 1%, our top earners need to start contributing, was basically what he was saying. They don't contribute enough. They don't pay enough. And don't worry, we're not going to increase taxes on anyone that makes under $400,000 a year. So he wants to raise corporate taxes, and he wants to raise taxes on the top, I guess it would be the top 20%. But first of all, if you are in the top 20%, you basically already pay all the taxes. Especially if you live in California, the top percentile of earners pay about 50% of their income in taxes. And under Trump, it's the top earners that actually had their taxes increased. Under Trump, taxes decreased for middle America, and they increased for a lot of the top earners. And Trump got a lot of crap, and this is what Biden was alluding to. Trump got a lot of crap because he lowered corporate taxes. But what happens when you lower corporate taxes? They bring jobs back. Now they have incentive to do business in America, and they bring jobs back to America, and they hire more people. So Biden is talking about we need to make it in America. We need to alleviate all of this economic stress on middle class America, and then the policies that he's talking about are only going to increase problems for middle America. So again, he contradicts himself. But the reason, actually, I don't know the reason they say this, but on the surface, when someone says that, if you don't understand how this stuff works, if you don't understand how it already works, on the surface, this is the reason they say stuff like that. You're like, yeah, we need to tax the rich more. Yeah, these corporations need to pay more. Yeah, because I don't know anything, so it sounds good, but when you actually know things, you're like, no, that doesn't work. 5,000 annual yearly income increase over Trump as opposed to, yeah. Trump did a lot for the middle class, and a lot of people don't know that, but yeah, if you made a certain amount, if you were one of the top earners, your taxes actually increased under Trump. And I know for sure in California, the top earners pay 50% of the income tax. And if you're middle class, like you get a lot of your taxes back every year. What you pay in, you get back a lot of it. He just contradicts himself. And how ironic is make it in America? How ironic is that, given what's happening with the oil that we buy from Russia? Make it in America. So we're getting 200,000 barrels. We're buying 200,000 barrels of oil from Russia a day, and we have all these resources in America. If we're going by his logic of if we're going by his logic of make it in America, and we're not restarting the Keystone XL pipeline, which would create jobs, which would allow us to go towards the direction of energy independence, which would lower the price of gas for everyone. How easy. He could do that tonight. He could restart it today. He could do that today, and he would hit the goal. He would hit so many of these goals. He could hit all of these goals. He could secure the border today. But that's not what it's really about. Is that my kitty? What are you doing? What else did he talk about? I think I heard Western countries buy 600 barrels a day, and America can produce 800,000 barrels. And they're going to use, I talked about this recently, but what they're going to do, so Kamala Harris, no, it was actually Jen Psaki, excuse me. So Jen Psaki was asked in an interview she gave just last week. So because of what's happening in Russia, right, a lot of Republican senators are asking Biden, are asking Biden to restart the Keystone XL pipeline. And Jen Psaki was on TV, this was last week, and she was asked that question. Does the Biden administration plan on restarting the XL pipeline, or what do you have to say to Republican senators that are calling on Biden to restart the XL pipeline? And she totally diverted her answer. Number one, she didn't really answer. But she said, and this is what they're going to do. They're going to try to use this thing in Russia and the fact that our gas prices are higher because of it. They're going to use that to implement going full Green New Deal and for stopping our reliance on oil. So she said, well, I think this is a great opportunity to look at how we use oil as a whole and to reduce our use in oil and to go more green or environmentally safe because climate change. So that's what, instead of answering the question, that's what they're going to do. And let's use that logic for a second. Let's use the logic of, let's say all of us are on the same page. We don't want to do nuclear energy. They never talk about nuclear energy. But let's say we all want to go full wind turbine, full Green New Deal. Okay, let's say we all want to do that. Do you know how long it's going to take to get to that point where we don't rely on oil anymore? It is going to take a long time. I don't even know if that would happen in my lifetime. So wouldn't it be smart, even if that was our goal, even if we were all on the same page, wouldn't it be smart in the meantime to just go ahead and restart that pipeline and make things easier on Americans? Create jobs, since we're all about creating jobs. But no, because it has nothing to do with that. Does anyone know how wide open landmass that needed to power NYC alone? Oh, wow. Drill, baby, drill. Open up the pipelines, all of them. I'm glad you said that because I was going to play what Lauren Boebert did. And I wanted to give you Whoopi Goldberg's reaction. It's so funny. Okay, so here it is. Oh, it might take a second to play.
And they come home.
Okay, so this is Lauren Boebert heckling Biden a little bit. He was talking about Afghanistan. So it says here, Lauren Boebert gives Biden a stern reminder of the 13 fallen American heroes who died during Biden's disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal after he fails to even mention them at the State of the Union. She yells 13 to his face. So this is what happened. Hopefully you can hear her.
And they come home. Many of the world's fittest and best trained warriors in the world. Never the same. Headaches, numbness, dizziness. A cancer that would put them in a flag draped coffin. I know. One of those.
It might have been hard to hear, but right before everyone started booing, she said 13 of them. And to me, that wasn't really heckling too much. I don't know, maybe it was. But Biden, he did this again. He didn't mention those soldiers. He went on talking about his son again, which it's very sad. What happened to his son was very sad and very awful, and I can't imagine a parent going through that. But he always brings it up and talks about himself, except for the people that were directly affected because of what he did. And so a lot of people were really upset that Lauren Boebert heckled the president, and they were like, it's so inappropriate. What did Whoopi Goldberg say? Okay, Whoopi Goldberg on The View went off about Lauren Boebert saying that. And let me just give you my personal opinion before I tell you what Whoopi said. I don't mind that she said that. I don't know if you've ever watched Parliament or like the Canadian government when they all get together. It's very boisterous. They heckle each other. They boo. They clap. I could hear. Eva, no. Hold on. You get. Whoopee cushion. I like it when they heckle, but yeah, Parliament, it's very boisterous. They heckle each other, and so they do it also when the government of Canada gets together. I think it's kind of cool. I like it. It's very lively, so I don't mind when they heckle a little bit. I said no. Oh my gosh. I don't mind when they heckle a little bit, even if it's on the other side. Like, I honestly don't mind, but that's just me. Maybe you do. Yeah, so someone just said, I don't mind at all. I thought it was awesome. I don't mind either. I mean, at least it keeps you awake. Most of the time, you just want to fall asleep. But Whoopi Goldberg does not share the same sentiment. I actually also, I don't know if you've ever been to Politicon. They haven't had it since COVID. I last went in 2019. They had it in Nashville, but it's like the unconventional political convention, and that's why I love it so much. So you'll have like a comedian debating a political commentator. Like one time Chelsea Handler debated Tommy Lahren. And you have things like that, and the audience will like boo and clap and make fun of people, and it's just really lively like that. I love that stuff. That's why I like. But anyway, Whoopi Goldberg does not feel the same way. It says, The View host Whoopi Goldberg blew up at Congresswoman Lauren Boebert over the fact that she had heckled President Joe Biden during Tuesday evening's State of the Union. I'm trying to find her quote. Okay, so they played, so on The View, they were talking about the clip. They played the clip of Boebert, of what I just said to you. And after the clip ended, Goldberg and her co-host discussed the scene, noting that Senator Lindsey Graham had apparently turned to Boebert and told her to stop. He did. Oh, be quiet. Don't talk about the military unless you really want to talk about the military, Goldberg cautioned. You can't do what they do. That's why we revere them, because they do stuff we can't do. What is she, hold on, what is she talking about? Oh, this is what she said about Lauren Boebert. And the minute you poop on them like the last guy did, talking about those gold star families, talking about Mr. McCain not being a hero. Who the hell do you think you are, little girl? Who do you think you are? Is what Whoopi Goldberg said. I wonder if I can find that clip. Oh. Yeah, Whoopi doesn't know anything about the military. This is the one that said that the Holocaust wasn't about race. And you know what? I was kind to Whoopi about that statement. I mean, I think it was wrong. I understand where her head might have been at. I think it was wrong. But I'm not gonna sit there and say, who do you think you are? Can I find this clip? They have no sense of humor. And then they go on to say things like, you know, you need to be respectful of the president when you're in this setting. And I agree, you need to be respectful, but I don't think that was too bad, and I kind of like it. Because, and mostly because I love to watch Parliament. I think it's so funny. Oh, here it is. You want to hear it? Okay. These ladies, they're just so unlikable. How does anyone watch this show? They are so unlikable. No, it's not gonna play? Sure, but there was no president. It was a shadow of a man. Everyone up there besides Kamala Harris is like 80. It's not playing.
I'm with you.
That was her later. Hold on, I wanted... It might play in a second. Well, here's something else that he is a meat puppet. This one might not play. If it does, I will go back to it. But this is what Whoopi said later. And this is weird. Okay, so she was talking about the fact that people call Joe Biden Sleepy Joe. So this was the same episode of The View. This is weird.
Glad he didn't do is he did not give the finger to the other side. No. He continues to say, you know, I'm here if you want to work with me.
Is there still an issue with my mic? I'm going to have to check it when I get off of here. Well, I'll be off of here in about 10 minutes, so I'll check it and see what's going on, because I can't figure it out right now. Is it bad? Starbucks ice water. I also put cucumber and lemon in it. Even that show, The Blurred View. Okay, here's still a little staticky. Okay, I'm gonna have to check it once I'm off of here. I'm sure I'll figure it out. Sorry, you guys. I apologize about that. Starbucks vodka. Not tonight. Okay, so this is The View talking about Joe Biden's nickname, Sleepy Joe, and they're like, we're glad he's not doing what the other party does, because they're not they call names. Okay, I'll be done in about 10 minutes, and then tonight I'll try to figure out what's going on with it. It might be my phone, which I have to get a new one anyway.
Glad he didn't do is he did not give the finger to the other side. No. He continues to say, you know, I'm here if you want to work with me. We're trying to get this done. And quite frankly, I'm with you. I'm really glad that we have someone who they call him Sleepy Joe. I'm glad he's sleepy. I'm glad he's not saying, hey, I'm going to come over there and do... I don't want to hear that.
But he wasn't sleepy last night. He was on the game last night.
But again, I just feel like, you know, people have names. I don't have any names for him. I just want him to do...
They like that he's sleepy because he's not on Twitter saying mean tweets. That's all they care about. They just don't want mean tweets. They don't want their feelings hurt. You can be a disaster everywhere else, but just don't hurt my feelings. Sleepy Creepy Joe is pretty accurate. They are delusional. All I heard was re. Give the finger to the other side. You mean like all of those bags on the View do? Isn't it quite funny though? I mean, they're like, they give the finger to the other side. Trump is mean and he tweets mean things. But if you talk to any Democrat, they will admit to you, Republicans are so much more polite to people that disagree with them. Anytime, like, ask anyone, Republicans are always willing to have people on their shows that, like, Republican commentators always have people on their shows that disagree with them. They are kind and polite to people that disagree with them. If you disagree with some of these Democrats, you are called every awful name in the book. So it is quite funny that now they care about manners, but they won't allow for, and case in point, The View cannot find a conservative co-host for their show because you have to meet a certain criteria. Yeah, or you get canceled. So it's so funny that they sit there and talk about kindness and tolerance and respect. When they're the party that wants to cancel everyone, they won't have people on their show that they disagree with, or if you do disagree with them, all of them will attack you at the same time. It's so funny. They probably want a rhino for their show. No, Olivia, they do. They totally want a rhino. That's why they can't find. Number one, I don't know of any conservative that would even want to sit with these women every day. That would be torture in and of itself. But they had this list of criteria that you had to meet. Oh, Frank, thank you. Sarah, start thinking about running for local office. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know. In the place where I'm actually a resident right now is very, very liberal. I don't know if I could ever deal with that. Thank you very much, Frank. I really appreciate that. They want a piñata. No, they do. They had this long list of criteria that really no actual, Olivia was talking about a rhino. You're right, Olivia. They had this list of criteria that no actual self-respecting Republican would meet. So they do. They want like a fake Republican. I wish they would invite Candace Owens to be a host. Could you imagine? Oh my, it would be, first of all, they never would. And Candace would, whether you like Candace or you don't, she can hold her own. She would just obliterate all of them. That's why they will probably never have her on the show, even as a guest. And it would just be like, there would be tears. There would be, I don't know, there would be walk-offs on the set every day. Sunny's head would explode. Yeah, all of their heads would explode. Imagine if Angela Stanton King was on there. Wait, who is that? Hold on. Who is that? Angela. Oh, she's a far-right speaker in Atlanta. I'll have to look her up. He would send them home straight jacket. He would send them home in straight jackets daily. Yes. Oh, before we go, okay, I'll probably get off in just a moment, but this is quick, this isn't too long, but this protest outside of the World Economic Headquarters in New York City, I think is really cool. It was a small protest, but I see stuff like this growing. I think it's cool because people are really starting to wake up to the World Economic Forum. They are the ones that are pushing the Great Reset. I actually went on their website earlier today and they had like the 4 steps to set up to push the Great Reset. And they're a part of these just like global elitists that want just one world order and all of these things. And they're looking at the pandemic as a perfect gateway to sort of push the Great Reset. And they have like a promotional video for the Great Reset where they don't actually tell you what it is, but they use that fear-mongering technique. They take all of these horrible images that happen in the US that are rarities, and then they make it look like we're doing so terrible right now. The world as we know it, and this is like pre-pandemic, by the way, the world as we know it is a terrible place and it's going to end because what exactly is the Great Reset? This is something I want to research a lot more, but it basically it's kind of like a one world government, kind of a globalization type of thing, where they have this video where it's like you will own nothing and you will be happy, where it's hold on, I wonder if I can find the video. When Pelosi was rubbing her wrist when Okay, I'll play this for you guys. Y'all have a, bye Kenny. Oh no, this was the video. This doesn't have anything in it. Proponents of the Great Reset have zero understanding of human nature. Yeah, it's basically like globalization. They want, and it has to do with sort of this push with like a digital ID. They basically say you're gonna own nothing in the future. They want you to rent everything. They don't want you to own property. Yeah, it's this whole idea of own nothing, be happy. Here, this is from the World Economic Forum. Let me see if this will play.
Now is the historical moments of time.
So this is Klaus Schwab. He is the founder and executive chairman of the World Forum, the World Economic Forum, and he's talking about the Great Reset. Let's see if this will play.
Not only to fight the real virus, but to shape the system.
We have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path.
Prince of
It is an
Wales.
opportunity we have never had before and may never have again. So we must use all the levers we have at our disposal, knowing that each and every one of us has a vital role to play.
Now is the time to think what history would say about this crisis. And now is the time for all of us to define our own role. What is it that would make it so that history would look at this crisis as the great opportunity for reset?
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call. It is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign, reinvigorate, and rebalance our world. Rebalancing investment, harnessing science and technology, and advancing the transition to net zero emissions, all elements of the Great Reset, are fundamental to building the future we need.
The world's problems fit on three sides of a triangle. It's one versus many, man versus nature, and the unfortunate foundation is long-term versus short-term.
We had already income inequality that was fueling income, race, gender inequality. We have a climate emergency, which we can't walk away from. There's no doubt that
It's basically communism, I think, in a nutshell, and they want it on a worldwide scale. And actually, I think I'm saying his name correctly, Klaus Schwab, he has a book. I think I'm going to order it, actually. I might order it tonight. But he has a book that he wrote called The Great Reset, where he lays out exactly what it is. And someone mentioned, was it the amazing, yeah, climate emergency. So does that sound familiar? they use terms like reimagine, all the climate stuff. They use all the same language, equity, all of that. They use sort of all the same language that is very familiar with some of our politics. So does Glenn Beck. He just wrote a book called The Great Reset. Yeah, well, I want to first read the World Economic Forum guy. I want to know what he says, and then I'm probably going to read Glenn Beck's book. But this is something that I actually haven't spent a lot of time talking about or delving into. I was more into sort of what was going on in the US. But this is going to be something, I have actually a goal. I'm going to be on a plane, and I'm going to take that book on a plane. This is something I'd like to dive into a little bit more. But someone just mentioned I think the amazing Polly on BitChute does a lot of research. So anyway, a lot of people are really concerned about this. What is this? What does this mean? Why are you trying to push this? And the World Economic Forum headquarters is in New York City, which I just learned today. And there was a protest there today. And I'll read to you sort of what's going on, and then I'll have to hop off of here. So it says, activists demand answers as crowd gathers outside of World Economic Forum headquarters in New York City. Klaus Schwab, one of the men that we just listened to, the chairman of the World Economic Forum, previously spoke positively in 2017 about his connections to Prime Minister Trudeau and his cabinet ministers. Activists, one of the activists said, the group of powerful players who meet to discuss how to invade nation states without guns. Justin Trudeau is essentially a puppet for the World Economic Forum. So what they're referring to is this.
And I have to say, when I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. But what we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, is that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and
that's his microphone.
I would know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the world. Okay?
So basically he's saying, this was back in 2017, and he's basically saying that half of the cabinet member, that they're proud that they've infiltrated the Canadian government, and that half the cabinet members are young World Economic Forum people, and they're basically saying that they want to infiltrate, and that's how people do it. You infiltrate governments with people that have certain ideas or ideals, and that's how you change policy on this type of level. So they like to infiltrate. Well, people are catching on to this, and what recently happened with the truckers, with Justin Trudeau like cracking down on them, freezing their assets, and all of those super like tyrannical things that Justin Trudeau did to try to stop these protests, I think it woke a lot of people up. And so that's what these activists outside of the headquarters are saying. One of them said, the group of powerful players who meet to discuss how to invade nation states without guns. That's really interesting. Another said, Justin Trudeau is essentially a puppet for the World Economic Forum. Oh, and this is really interesting too. Okay, I'm gonna play. This is Canada. This happened in February of 2022. So this bothered a lot of people too. So this happened okay, well, here, I'll read it to you. Canada, wow. MP Colin Carey gets shut down when he asks about Klaus Schwab 2017 comments that the World Economic Forum has penetrated and infiltrated global governments around the world. The speaker says the comments were inaudible and moves on to the next question. I watched this clip. So this is the government in Canada, and one of the basically like Canadian representatives was asking the speaker, hey, what's going on with this? Bringing up those comments by Schwab. And while he was speaking, the speaker cuts him off and says that he couldn't answer the question because it was inaudible. And if you listen, you can hear it perfectly clear. So this pissed a lot of people off too.
Contact questions and comments. The honourable member for Oshawa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I listened to my colleague's speech. I had a constituent that wanted me to ask a question about outside interference to our democracy. Klaus Schwab is the head of the World Economic Forum, and he bragged how his subversive WEF, World Economic Forum, has, quoted, infiltrated governments around the world. He said that his organization had penetrated more than half of Canada's cabinet. And I was wondering, in the interest of transparency, could the member please name which cabinet ministers are on board with the WEF's agenda? My concern is the deputy.
Order. I know that the member was in a really good question there, but the audio is really bad and the video is really bad as well. And I apologize. I don't know if the member. Okay, let's try again. The honourable member for Timmins James Bay.
Mr. Speaker, that member was promoting open disinformation. That's not debate. We have to call it disinformation.
We'll get into debating.
So, yeah, weird. And these are the protesters in front of the headquarters in New York. They said, we are pro-freedom, pro-sovereignty, and the World Economic Forum is completely against those things. So this is cool. This was a small protest. It wasn't very big. But I just think it's cool to see people waking up. The average person. Is this a news station? So this is Rebel News that's reporting this. It's a Canadian news organization. I really like them. One of my favorite things that Rebel News ever did was they followed around Greta Thunberg when she was in Canada giving speeches. And they actually... they found her car that was parked in the parking lot of a place that she was giving a speech, and they just kind of panned the camera sort of into her car, and she had so much climate contraband. She had like plastic, there was trash all over it. She had plastic forks and like plastic bags everywhere. It was pretty funny. But yeah, this is Rebel News. They are a Canadian news outlet. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. There's about maybe 20 of them. Again, it was a small little protest, but I like seeing people sort of wake up and go and make their voices heard on the street, especially with something like this. Will it get bigger? Will more people show up? Will they do it again? I don't know. In the meantime, I'm going to read The Great Reset. I'm going to read his first to know. You should always know your enemy. Maybe I'll read it and I'll be like, yeah. Just kidding, I won't. Thunderberg seems like she would be a slob. It was pretty funny because they were like, look at all of this climate contraband. Sorry I keep bringing this video up by Amazing Polly. Okay, no, thank you for saying that again. Amazing Polly on BitChute. I will watch it. That sounds really good. It's something that I would like to learn more about. I just haven't really dived into it too much. So thank you, Olivia. I appreciate that. I saw a video where they made an apartment out of trash and wood in California. Awesome. I mean, there would have been enough trash in Greta Thunberg's car to build an apartment. All right. Thank you, everyone. That was really fun. I'm going to get off now. I appreciate you joining. It was on Jesse Waters' prime time. Oh, boy. Check on YouTube with Angela Stanton King was on The Breakfast Club. Okay, I will. Thank you very much. All right, everyone. Have a really good night. Thank you for joining. That was a lot of fun. That's going to die. Okay. See you later. Activism pays well. It sure does, doesn't it? All right, bye, you all.